Today on What It's Like 1941 Cadillac Series 63 Touring Sedan. But before getting into all of it, I'm Jay. Welcome to What It's Like, the automotive channel that gives you the scoop on all of the classics, vintage, some exotics, lots of orphan cars, and cars that tend to get overlooked. We dive in deep with specs, period ads, button switches, and knobs. Most importantly, we show what these cars are like. If that sounds like a channel that you will totally dig, subscribe and hit the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. This 1941 Cadillac is currently for sale at Classic Auto Mall, Morgantown, Pennsylvania, which isn't really a car museum per se, but is the largest car consignor northeastern region of the United States with over 850 cars for sale when recording this episode. Wear comfortable shoes. More information, pricing, and pictures pertaining to this very car, click the link below after the show. 1941 Cadillac model lineup. Series 61 was in the basement and it rode a wheelbase of 126 inches, followed by Series 62 and Series 63, all of which ride the wheelbase of 126 inches. Series 67 follows with a wheelbase of 139 inches. Series 60 Special with a wheelbase of 126 inches. And then at the top, Series 75 with a wheelbase of 136 inches. Cadillac offered the Series 63 in 1941 and in 1942, and then they offered it later on in its career. But remember back to the 1940 LaSalle before Cadillac decided to discontinue the marque, which was sort of out of left field in a sense because 1940 LaSalle had a good sales year. They had made 3 mock-ups or renderings of what the 40 LaSalle could be. The first one was built on the GM C-body platform. That would end up being the Cadillac Series 62 for 1941. The second one was based on a fastback GM B-body platform, which became the Series 61 Cadillac. The third one was a modified notch design that basically took ideas from both the Series 61 and the Series 62 and married them. It was derived from the B-body fastback, but it was built on a modified A-body platform, which was the Series 63. Just to be clear, these cars were basically LaSalle mock-ups. Not all 3 designs would have been made. Designed by Duke Harley Earl. So a bit of background on Harley Earl. I always wondered, when did he start working at GM? The man, the myth, the legend. A long story short, Harley Earl's father founded Earl Automotive Works, which was bought by a Cadillac dealer in 1926. And they decided to keep Harley Earl as a designer. Just think about that. I know you're not supposed to ask what if in history, but just think about that one decision. That decision was the spark that led to the powder keg. Fisher Body General Manager Lawrence P. Fisher, he was over the Cadillac dealer Don Lee, the dealer that bought Earl Automotive. Lawrence was also a brother who ran Fisher Body. Harley Earl gave him a great impression, and they were blown away by how he worked with clay. They would build life-size renditions made of clay. Harley Earl started that. Fisher commissioned Harley Earl to design the 1927 LaSalle. The biggest takeaways from all of that were Earl began working at GM in 1926, and the only reason he got a job working at GM was because of Earl Automotive. Just think of that. That's absolutely nuts. He was forced. So Harley Earl worked at GM from 1926 to 1958 when he was forced into retirement. His whole career was at one company, GM, which is super rare for an automotive designer. And his first car that he designed was in 1927, 1 year after the Cadillac dealership takeover. The 1941 Cadillac was Harley Earl's baby, saying that he wanted the customer to walk around the car and be entertained the entire trip. 1941 Cadillac Series 63 was available only as a touring sedan. Let's talk specs. 215 inches long. It rides a wheelbase of 126 inches. It weighs 4,135 pounds. Price $1,700, which is equivalent to you spending $34,906.20 in the year 2023. Total 1941 Cadillac production was 66,169 units. of which Series 63, all of them are the touring sedan, because that was the only body on offer, was $5,050. Moving on to engines, only one engine on offer, 346 cubic inch displacement monoblock V8, 5.7 liters. It's good for 150 brake horsepower at 3,400 RPM, 283 pound-feet of torque at 1,700 RPM, with a compression of 725 to 1. Features 3 main bearings, could be mated to a 3-speed manual or the GM 4-speed hydromatic automatic transmission. Options and accessories. When you bought a car back in the day, you bought the car, and everything else, literally everything else, was optional. Side mirrors, that was extra. Radio, that was also extra. Heating and ventilation system, you guessed it, extra. Windshield washer, notice there is a price to have it installed on the 40 model too. So if you bought a 40 and you wanted to buy a 41, you could get it installed on your 40 as well. Daytime, nighttime mirror. Does anybody know when the first daytime, nighttime mirror was offered in a car? Backup lights were optional, and I never knew this, but to activate the backup light, it's a separate switch. Meaning, if you have a tailgater, you could turn that light on to freak them out, which is really cool feature. Side note, I always thought it would be cool to have a rear mounting horn for people that are up your butt for no apparent reason, or a screen so you could tell them exactly what you think or how you truly feel. Let's talk styling. This is getting into like my favorite era of Cadillac. Look at all the bright work around the headlights, these bezels, stainless steel and or chrome. Down here, I love the overriders as well as the bar that goes in between them. Beautiful egg crate grille. Beautiful flying lady on the hood. Notice the center line. It's covered up with chrome and or stainless. Beautiful louvers with the Cadillac badge there. Notice how these fenders swoop up. Also, check out this line here. It's even got a line in the bezel itself and how it comes back. I love how these doors come down. It's gravel guards. The rubber. Look at all of the bright work around the rear window. Also notice the rear window slides open. This one's opened. This car does have drip rails. Nice cowl vent that has a chrome piece on it. So whenever it's closed, it syncs up with that. Big 2-piece windshield. Notice the windshield wipers are up on pedestals. Notice how the mirror is mounted. Also this texture effect right below it. Coming to the rear, I love these 3 lines. Look at the fins and tail lights. Back bumpers. Getting in the trunk while we're back here. Trunk lid's pretty heavy. And that's how much space you have. I'm going to take a step back so you can see how high the trunk lid goes. Full size spare tire here, buys probably spare. And the trunk is a decent size. It probably should be a little bit bigger considering how big this car is, but it's adequate. Here's what over the hood looks like. Here's what first person over the hood looks like. Here's what under the steering wheel situation looks like. There is tons of space in between my crotch and the steering wheel. On to the button switches and knobs: coolant temperature, amp meter, gasoline gauge, oil pressure, speedometer with odometer and tripometer inside of it, headlights, heat and ventilation controls, as well as defroster, start/ignition button, lighter, key is located just below that, windshield wipers at the very top of the dashboard, radio, and clock. Up above, there are sun visors. Here's my hand for reference. They're big sun visors. Rear view mirror there. Another sun visor over here for the passenger. On to the glove box test. Here's our test subject. Here's my hand for reference. Here is our glove box in question. Look at that glove box. It almost fits. If the hot shoe wasn't on there, it would fit in there. It fits, but it won't shut. So I'm gonna say no. No, it doesn't fit in the glove box. This car does have the cowl air vent. It's right here. That's one stop. That's two stops. And that's three stops. That's fully open. I love that it clicks every time it goes to a stop. Right here, this is for the windshield wipers. Just check out this radio. That's pretty cool. Getting inside, notice these door handles are smooth. They don't have any lines or anything. Just look at how the door is designed. And that's how far it opens to allow plenty of access to get into the rear seat. Notice the door panel does not have an armrest. Also notice it isn't straight, it curves. This is the door handle to get out. This is the window crank for the big window. It operates like this, and it goes all the way down. This is the lock and unlock the door. Here is what the front looks like from the back. Let's take a gander at the greenhouse, or the pillar to glass ratio. It is a bit cave-like in this car. That's not a bad thing. You know, some people like more exclusivity. They don't like being in the sun. This car would be perfect if you don't like the sun. This looks like a three-piece back glass, but they could have just added these for aesthetics. There is a partial shelf back here. This is what the visibility looks like out the back window from the rear seat. The back seat. So the seat profile is rather upright, and it bulges out here in the center. The cushion, or the seat, the bench is the term that I'm looking for. The bench does dip down in the back here. This is what I look like sitting in the back. This seat is not very comfortable. I'm not gonna lie. It reminds me of sitting in a Ford from this time period, or the 50s. Ford seats in the rear in the 50s are the most uncomfortable seating position one could be in my opinion. But I do have lots of headroom. I have tons of legroom. Legroom situation looks like. So from my wrist to my middle finger is the spacing. The back of this seat, this is a robe rail. You put like a blanket, heavy blanket on here, because the heating system in these cars was generally up there, and then it blew to the back, so the people that were sitting back here usually froze. Creature comforts, there is a dome light right here in the center. The windows do go down right there, and they slide open right there. There is an ashtray as well as lighter in the armrest for the rear passengers. Like that on both sides. Everything that is found on the passenger side is also found on the driver's side. There's the cigarette lighter. Here's the ashtray. Garage door shuts. There is the armrest for your arm. These windows do open. Coming to the under the hood section. The hood release is the lady herself. And just pick it up like that. That releases it. Very heavy hood. Very, very heavy hood. Flathead V8 engine. Look at this ventilation pipe here. It goes back for ventilation. It's got the oil bath air cleaner up here in front. Notice it's sitting like directly on top of the generator. Check out this fuel pump with the bowl. That has to be really hard to find now. Coil on the firewall there. Look at how the steering comes down into the box. On the positive side, timeless design, built solid, great space, both front and rear, tons of room in the rear, huge glove box, camera fits, no issues whatsoever with that. 2 window options for rear passengers. You have the crank down windows in center and the sliding rear windows. Against it, these seats are weird, both front and rear. It's a big car. Series 63 was only available as a touring sedan. All right, now it's time for Would You Rather, steak or chicken, paper or plastic. 2 scenarios today. In the first scenario, would you rather have a 1941 Packard 160 4-door sedan or a 1941 Cadillac Series 63 4-door sedan or a 1941 Lincoln 4-door sedan? I'm going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. Moving to the second scenario, this is totally random. Would you rather have a Triumph TR3 or a Triumph TR5 or a Triumph TR7? Once again, going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. Now it's time for Name That Tune. First person to get both the name of the band and song in the comment section correctly will have their comment pinned to the top of the comment section. If you'd like to get in touch with me, shoot me a comment in the discussion section below or check out our Facebook group that correlates with this YouTube channel. If you don't have Facebook and would like to talk to me, shoot me an email. All of that will be linked in the description below. Just know I appreciate all of the support. Until next time, here are some scenes for our next episode. Actually, I don't have any scenes for our next episode. Tomorrow's episode is going to be discussion episode, Friday's episode, and it's going to be talking about split rims. I upgraded the rims on my truck from split rims to solid piece, and I'm going to talk about, was it worth it? So until then, toodaloo! Who is this kid? Boo! Get off the stage! Your voice sucks! It sounds like nails on a chalkboard.